She saw the needle marks on their arms, all 5 of them. Then she realized the blood tests had been faked. Before we dive into what happened that night at the border clinic, hit that like button and subscribe if stories like this pull you in. Drop a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. It's always incredible seeing how far these stories reach. McAllen, Texas, late evening. The air hangs heavy with humidity. Just a stone's throw from the Rio Grande, the Rio Care Family Health Center sits like a beacon. Locals come here. Immigrants come here. People hoping to start new lives. Elena Marquez moves through the emergency room with practiced efficiency. 35 years old, dark hair pulled back. She's been here exactly 1 week, relocated from San Antonio. The walls still feel unfamiliar. The clock reads 8 p.m., 2 hours until closing. She glances across the waiting room. Her eyes settle on a man sitting with 5 young girls, all dressed simply, jeans and colorful tops. The man looks Mexican. His expression? Fatigue mixed with something else. Nervousness. Elena turns to Carlos, a fellow nurse. 40s. Been here for years. Who are they waiting for? Carlos barely looks up from his screen. They've been waiting a while? I'm not sure. Have they had their vitals taken? I don't think so. Elena approaches the family, offers a warm smile. Hello, I'm Nurse Elena Marquez. Have you had your vitals checked yet? The man straightens. We're waiting for Dr. Alan Briggs for vaccinations and blood tests. May I ask for what purpose? To complete our papers, to pass the border to the USA. Elena nods. Let me check for you, but first, may I see your patient registration? The man hands her a folded form. Mateo Ruiz, 42 years old, accompanied by Sophia, 10, Isabella, 9, Valentina, 8, Anna, 7, and Lucia, 5, all Mexican nationals. Elena looks at each girl. Something strikes her immediately. They're too still, not fidgeting, not whispering, not even looking around, just sitting there, silent, like dolls. Here's where it gets strange. Elena returns to the nurse station. Dr. Briggs isn't working today, Carlos tells her. He had an emergency appointment, took the day off. Elena frowns. The man says he has an appointment specifically with Dr. Briggs. And the children? Don't you think they're unusually quiet? Carlos glances at the family. I think I've seen that man before. He's a patient of Dr. Briggs. Don't worry. And honestly, he's lucky to have daughters who behave so well. There are a lot of immigrants here. I just want to be careful when something seems unusual. Carlos looks at her with a slight shrug. Welcome to Bordertown Healthcare. Elena returns to Mateo. I'm sorry, but Dr. Briggs is off work today. The system says he has an emergency appointment outside the clinic. Mateo's expression shifts. Confusion. Nervousness. You don't understand? I have an appointment with Dr. Briggs. The doctor himself told me to come here at this day and time. Perhaps you could try reaching him directly? Mateo's face darkens, anger flashing. What kind of service is this? You should call the doctor. We have an appointment here. Please excuse me while I try to reach him. Elena returns to the station, dials Dr. Briggs's number. No answer. Tries his home number. Same result. As she waits through ring cycles, Elena glances back at Mateo. He's visibly anxious now, scratching his head, shifting in his seat, typing rapidly on his phone. The contrast between his agitation and the girl's stillness, it strikes her as even more peculiar. After several failed attempts, Elena heads back. Mateo rises, answers a phone call, steps away toward the emergency staircase for privacy. The girls remain in their seats, unmoving. Elena waits with them, tries small talk. None of them respond beyond brief nods or one-word answers. From beyond the emergency door, she catches fragments of Mateo's conversation. Tomorrow? Yes. Give me time, please. Yes, I'll pay. Elena looks around. Nobody else seems to have heard. A sense of unease settles in her stomach. This part still gives me chills. Mateo returns, face set in controlled tension. I tried Dr. Briggs's phone and home number. I couldn't reach him. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. Mateo runs a hand through his hair. I'm wasting time here. I really need to get the girls vaccinated. We plan to cross the border and seek asylum. I had arranged pickup, and with this delay, everything else on my schedule will be affected. Elena studies the registration papers more carefully. I see you need vaccinations for DTaP IPV, MMRV, hepatitis A and B. This is for your asylum application, correct? Yes. Well, if you don't mind, I can administer the vaccinations myself. I'm a nurse practitioner. But we'll also need to do a blood test. It's standard to screen for hepatitis B. Mateo's eyes widen. Blood test? They don't need that. The children are fine. Due to our clinic being in a border town, it's standard procedure here. No, Mateo says firmly. That's not necessary. Elena offers an alternative. We have other doctors who could see you, but there's a queue. You'd need to wait. Or if someone cancels, I could help insert you. But the doctor would also order the same blood tests. Mateo seems torn, eyes darting between Elena and the girls. Would you be doing this alone? No other practitioners? The question strikes Elena as strange. Yes, I can handle the sample collection and paperwork. Mateo pulls out his phone, appears to be looking at previous lab reports. After a long moment, he exhales. Okay, I'll trust you. Nobody saw this coming. Elena leads them to an examination room. The girls move in near perfect unison, following their father without a word. In Elena's experience, children in clinics are typically curious, nervous, or both. These girls display neither emotion. We'll start with taking everyone's vitals, then move on to the blood draw. She works methodically. Sophia first, blood pressure, temperature, pulse, oxygen levels. The girl complies silently, large brown eyes focused on the floor. Elena tries to engage her. What's your favorite subject in school? Sophia's response is minimal, barely above a whisper. Elena repeats the process with each girl. Same pattern, quiet compliance, minimal eye contact, brief responses. Mateo stands nearby, arms crossed, eyes never leaving. Would you like to wait outside while I draw their blood? Some parents find it difficult to watch. No, I'll stay with my daughters. Elena begins with Sophia, ties the tourniquet, swabs the inside of her elbow. This will pinch a little. Sophia doesn't flinch, expression unchanged. You're very brave. Sophia doesn't respond. As Elena works through each child, she continues trying conversation. Do you girls have a favorite game you like to play? Before any girl can answer, Mateo interjects. They don't play much, they study. It's important for their future. Elena notes the edge in his voice, how the girls seem to shrink slightly. After collecting all samples, Elena labels each one carefully, aware of Mateo's unwavering attention. I'll take these to the lab now. No, Mateo says, rising. We'll come with you. Elena hesitates, finds his insistence unusual, but can't think of a professional reason to refuse. They walk through the corridor, Mateo herding the girls like silent ducklings. At the lab window, Elena hands over the samples. Before she can turn away, Mateo steps forward, calls to the lab technician. Those are for my children. I'm Mateo Ruiz. Elena watches with surprise. It's not common for patients to address lab technicians directly. You seem like a very responsible father, Elena comments, and the girls all behave very well. She's probing, trying to understand. Mateo's expression softens slightly. In Mexico, it's very common for samples to get mixed up in labs. I just want to make sure everything is accurate. You don't need to worry, we're very careful here. And here's the detail that changes everything. Elena returns to the nurse station, mind still preoccupied with the Ruiz family. The clinic is quieter now, less than an hour until closing. She leans against the counter beside Carlos, keeps her voice low. That man with the 5 daughters. Did you notice how strange they were acting? Carlos looks up. What do you mean? The girls were just so quiet, and the father followed me all the way to the lab. Even called out to the lab tech to make sure they knew which samples belonged to his children. Carlos chuckles, shakes his head. This is Border Town Clinic, Elena. Every day, strange things happen. You need to learn to tell the difference between culture shock and real threats. I know it's not wrong, per se. It just seems weird. I felt the same way during my first few months here. You'll get used to it. Elena nods slowly, not entirely convinced. By the way, what about Dr. Briggs? I've been here a week and haven't seen him. Oh, he's a senior doctor here, one of the best in this border town. He works here, but not exclusively. He also takes private consultations. Their conversation is interrupted. Carlos excuses himself. Elena heads toward the ER. As she walks, she catches sight of Mateo through a window. He's outside in the parking lot, on his phone again. The 5 girls are with him, 3 leaning against each other, seemingly asleep. Sitting on a metal bench, the youngest, Lucia, is still awake. Holding her father's hand, Mateo steps away. Still on the call, Lucia follows initially, but he gestures for her to stay. The little girl reluctantly returns to her sisters. Mateo moves further away, expression growing agitated. Then Elena sees something. A man approaches Mateo from the shadows. Casual clothes, face half hidden in dim evening light. Mateo's posture changes immediately, stands straighter, movements becoming more deferential. He pats the man's shoulder. Concerned about the children left alone, Elena exits through the ER doors. Lucia perks up at her approach. The older girls remain asleep. Mateo quickly notices Elena, ends his conversation. The stranger slips away into shadows. He hurries back. Is something wrong? I saw the girls outside, wanted to make sure they're okay. It's getting late. Mateo relaxes slightly. They're just tired. You're welcome to come back inside. It's more comfortable. It's okay. Leave the girls here. They love the warm outside compared to the dry air conditioner. Before Elena can respond, her pager beeps. The lab. Results are ready. I'll come find you after I check them. Then we can proceed with the vaccinations. This is where it gets dark. The corridor to the lab feels longer than usual. At the lab window, a technician named Donnie Rain hands her the results. Everything looks normal, Donnie says with a casual smile, though Elena notices sweat on his brow despite the cool temperature. Healthy kids. Elena steps aside, reviews the results. According to the reports, all 5 girls have normal blood work. No trace of drugs, nothing alarming. Relief washes over her. She signs the papers, heads back toward the exit. Mateo and the girls are already making their way inside. He carries sleeping Lucia. The older girls trudge alongside him, movement sluggish. The lab tests are clear. We can proceed with the vaccinations. She guides them to the treatment room. The girls settle quietly in a row, eyelids drooping, except for Lucia. She sits alert in her father's arms, bright eyes wide. Elena begins with Sophia, administering each injection carefully. The girl barely reacts, expression blank. Isabella is similarly stoic. As Elena prepares to vaccinate Valentina, the girl's face suddenly pales. I feel sick, she whispers. First words Elena has heard her speak. Do you need the bathroom? I can walk with you. Before Valentina can answer, Mateo stands. I'll take her. Where's the bathroom? Elena points. Right there? Mateo calls for Lucia to come, but Elena gently intervenes, assures him Lucia can stay. When Valentina suddenly gags, Mateo hurries her away. For the first time, Elena finds herself alone with the children, free from their father's watchful presence. Sophia and Isabella sit still, eyes downcast, but Lucia suddenly perks up, approaches Elena with unexpected animation. "Dad told us we're going to USA," she says, voice small but excited. Elena smiles, charmed. "That's right. Dad said we can dance and we'll get famous." Lucia begins to sway. "An impromptu dance. Will you dance with me?" "I'm sorry, sweetie, I can't dance right now. I have to give you your shots." Undeterred, Lucia continues dancing, raises her arms above her head. As her sleeve pulls back, Elena notices something. A series of small bruises on her right arm. Pinprick marks, similar to those left by IV injections. "Lucia, what happened here?" Elena touches the marks gently. The little girl pauses, looks at her own arm with mild curiosity. "I was sick. Dad gave me some medicine." Elena's heart rate quickens. "At the hospital?" Lucia shakes her head. "No, at home. He often gives me medicine. He says I'm sick." Her voice drops to a whisper. "The medicine makes me sleepy all the time, even when I want to dance." Elena struggles to keep her expression neutral, alarm bells ringing. "When was the last time he gave you medicine?" "Before we came here." Elena's gaze shifts to the other girls. She pulls out her penlight, checks their pupils, slightly dilated, not dramatically, but noticeably. She checks their arms, all of them, pinprick marks. The pieces suddenly click together. Matteo could be drugging them. Mild sedatives to keep them quiet, compliant. But this doesn't make sense. The lab results showed nothing. Acting on instinct, Elena swiftly grabs a syringe, blood collection equipment. She knows it's against protocol. If anyone catches her, she could be in serious trouble. But something doesn't add up. "Lucia, I need to take just a little more blood from you and your sisters." "Okay." The girl extends her arm trustingly. Elena works rapidly, taking samples from Lucia, then Anna, Isabella, Sophia. Each girl complies without resistance. Their docility now seems sinister. Elena labels each sample carefully, conceals them in a cabinet just as the door opens. Matteo returns with Valentina. "She's feeling sick," he reports, voice tinged with irritation. He whispers something to Valentina. "Get a hold of yourself. This is just vaccination. Don't act like a baby." "It's perfectly normal to feel nervous," Elena assures them. But her attention is drawn to Lucia, now dancing energetically around the room, becoming more alert. A stark contrast to the quiet, drowsy girl Elena first saw. If she had been given something earlier, the sedative is wearing off. Matteo stares at his youngest daughter, expression darkening. "Lucia, sit down." Elena senses tension rising. "Perhaps we should take a short break. I'll give you all a minute." She moves toward the door. As she reaches for the handle, a chill runs down her spine. Matteo is watching her. An intensity that makes her breath catch. Before Elena can grasp the handle, Matteo steps forward, closes the door. The soft click of the lock sends a wave of fear through her. He stands between her and the exit. Then, with a swift movement, he reaches into his waistband. Pulls out a small handgun. The girls remain eerily quiet. Even Lucia freezes. Only Valentina makes a small whimpering sound, quickly silenced by a sharp glance. "Please," Elena whispers, hands raised slightly. "There's no need for that. I really don't know what you're talking about." Matteo's laugh echoes, cold. "Yes, you do." His gaze fixes on the rolled-up sleeves, the girl's arms. Elena realizes with sudden horror. She forgot to loosen them after taking blood samples. "You saw their needle marks, didn't you? Would you have done the same?" Matteo takes a step closer, gun steady. There are only two ways out of this situation. His voice is unnervingly calm. Option 1, I kill you with this silent gun. Lock this room. You'll bleed out before anyone finds you tomorrow, and by then, I'll be long gone. I have friends here who can help me. Elena feels blood drain from her face, heart hammering. The hidden blood samples feel like they're burning a hole in the drawer. 2, Mateo continues. We work together. I'll give you a portion of what I earn after I get the girls across the U.S. border. He names a figure. Elena's eyes widen despite her fear. Even a quarter of that would make you rich. You could leave this ratchet part of the USA for somewhere better. We both win. He gestures toward the girls. I wouldn't like option 1 either because then it becomes a mess. Voice hardening. So what's it going to be, Nurse Elena? The blade-like edge of the gun presses against Elena's cheek. Cold. Unforgiving. Please, she begs. Genuine tears welling. I promise I won't say anything. Just please don't hurt me or the girls. Mateo studies her face. An eternity. Then lowers the gun slightly. Good. That's the smart choice. He gestures toward the vaccination tray. Now finish your job. Vaccinate the rest of my girls. With trembling hands, Elena prepares the remaining vaccines. Her mind races, trying to find a way out. The girls submit silently, eyes darting occasionally to the gun. Very good, Mateo says when Elena administers the last vaccine. Now sign the vaccination papers, make it official. Elena complies, her signature barely legible, shaking hand. As she fills out paperwork, Mateo leans close, breath hot, against her ear. Keep that mouth shut, no police. He whispers, and before you know it, I'll come with the money in 2 days. But if you talk, he lets the threat hang. No money, and my people are everywhere, even in this hospital. You could walk around a corner and never know if you'd see another daylight. Elena nods rapidly, desperate to appear compliant. I understand. I won't say anything. Smart girl. Mateo tucks the gun back into his waistband, pulls his shirt over it. We need to finish at the cashier before we leave. Come on, girls. He herds the children toward the door, pauses to give Elena one last threatening look. 2 days. Remember what I said? As the door closes, Elena collapses into a chair, entire body shaking, fear and adrenaline. Several deep breaths, trying to calm herself. Mateo hadn't been suspicious of the blood samples she hid. After several minutes, Elena manages to stand. She reaches up to the cabinet, carefully extracts the blood samples. 4 small vials, impossibly heavy in her hand. She needs to get these tested, properly tested. But who can she trust? Mateo's words echo. My people are everywhere, even in this hospital. If that's true, the earlier lab results were likely falsified by someone on Mateo's payroll. Elena peers into the hallway, nearly empty. Only a few patients near the pharmacy, less than a dozen at the cashier, including Mateo and the girls. She moves quickly toward the lab, vials tucked in her scrub pocket. The walk feels interminable. Each passing colleague, a potential threat. Elena finds herself scrutinizing every face. Could she trust anyone? Carlos had seemed dismissive of her concerns. Was he involved or just jaded? At the lab, Elena is relieved to see a technician she doesn't recognize, a young man with kind eyes. His name badge reads Marcus. I need these samples tested right away. It's the last test for the day, I promise. Marcus sighs tiredly. We're about to close up. I know, I'm sorry, but it's really important. Marcus senses her urgency. Is everything all right? Yes, Elena says quickly, too quickly. Everything's fine. Marcus looks doubtful, but nods. I'll run them now. Do you want to wait? I'll wait, thank you. She positions herself near the lab window, eyes fixed on the door, ready to flee at the first sign of Mateo. After what feels like hours, Only 10 minutes, Marcus approaches. His expression is concerned. These results show traces of a sedative in the blood. Not a large amount, but definitely present in all samples, except the youngest child, who only has minimal traces left. Where did these samples come from? Elena's suspicions confirmed. She hesitates, torn between fear and duty. Are you familiar with Donnie Rain, the lab tech who was working earlier? Marcus nods. He left his shift early. Said he had a family emergency. I need to see the digital copies of some previous tests he signed for patients named Valentina, Anna, and Lucia Ruiz, processed earlier this evening. Marcus accesses the computer, prints the documents. Elena compares them side by side. They're completely different. Earlier tests, no trace of any substances. New ones, clear indication of sedatives. Marcus leans over her shoulder, eyes widening. These can't both be right. Someone falsified the earlier results. Elena nods grimly. I think Donnie Rain might be involved. Earlier, I'm pretty sure I saw him talking to Mateo Ruiz in the parking lot. Marcus's expression turns grave. We need to report this to the police. Those children could be in real danger. Elena hushes him, glancing anxiously around. Keep your voice down. Mateo said he has people everywhere in this clinic. She describes what happened, the examination room, Mateo's threats, the gun, what Lucia revealed. As she speaks, weight lifts from her shoulders. Finally, someone believes her. We need to be careful, she concludes. I think Dr. Briggs might be involved too. Mateo specifically asked for him. Marcus nods thoughtfully. That might explain, look, I don't want to spread rumors, but there have been strange things happening with sample processing lately. Inconsistencies, especially with patients of certain doctors, including Dr. Briggs? Yes. Elena holds up the test results. Well, now we have proof. They look at each other, the gravity settling between them. Elena thinks about the money Mateo offered, a fortune, feels sick that anyone would accept payment to look away, while children were exploited. We need to call the police. Those girls need help. Marcus reaches for the phone. With trembling fingers, Elena dials 911, prepared to risk everything to save 5 young lives. Some questions don't have answers, only choices. The next minutes pass in a blur. Elena reports everything to the 911 dispatcher. Mateo, the girls, the falsified lab results, the threat against her life. The dispatcher assures her officers are on the way, instructs her to remain where she is. After hanging up, Elena peers through the lab windows toward the main entrance. Her heart sinks. Mateo and the girls are at the cashier's desk, completing payment. They'll be leaving soon. I have to stall them. The police might not get here in time. Before Marcus can object, Elena is already moving, hurrying through corridors toward the front. She emerges into the lobby just as Mateo herds the girls toward the exit. Mr. Ruiz, she calls, forcing a professional smile. I need to speak with you about... Mateo turns, expression tightening. Whatever you want to say, we can talk about it another time. But it's about your asylum application. Mateo ignores her. As he resumes walking, the faint wail of sirens begins to pierce through the walls. Mateo freezes mid-step, head snapping toward the sound, eyes narrowing. What did you do? You called the police, didn't you? His voice is sharp with betrayal, hand reaching instinctively toward his waistband. He draws the gun, gasps ripple through the hallway, staff and patients turning, confusion shifting to fear. Everyone stay calm, Elena's voice rings out. Move away and get to safety. Mateo tightens his grip, swings the gun toward Elena, eyes locked with chilling focus. So intent on his aim, he doesn't notice the security guard closing in from behind. In one swift motion, the guard grabs Mateo's arm, twists his wrist. The gun fires, too late to stop it. But the shot goes wild. Bullets slamming harmlessly into ceiling tiles. Shouts erupt, people ducking, scrambling for cover. Marcus lunges into action, joining the guard. With one swift kick, he knocks the gun from Mateo's hand. It skids across the floor. As Mateo struggles, more personnel rush in, 2 nurses and a medical assistant helping to pin him down. The scene is chaos for a moment, but within seconds, Mateo is fully restrained. Multiple police cruisers pull up outside, lights flashing through glass doors. Officers enter swiftly, weapons drawn. Everyone stay calm. Which one is Mateo Ruiz? Pinned to the ground, Mateo thrashes once more, then goes still, eyes darting wildly. "This nurse is corrupt," he shouts, voice echoing. He points at Elena. "She tried to frame me and my daughters with fake lab test reports." He turns to clinic staff. "You all know me, have seen me coming here before. Tell them." Tense silence follows. One officer approaches Carlos directly. "Sir, is what this man's saying true?" Carlos hesitates, glancing between Mateo and the officer. Finally, his shoulders slump. "No, I mean yes," he murmurs, barely above a whisper. "Mateo and his accomplices came here sometimes, always with different girls. Some of us nurses knew something wasn't right, but not everyone." He pauses. "He promised to pay us to keep quiet, and threatened us if we ever spoke to police." The officer turns to colleagues. "We need backup. Take them all into custody for questioning." As officers move to arrest Mateo, Elena steps forward. There are 2 more who aren't here, Dr. Alan Briggs and a lab technician named Donnie Rain. The lead officer nods gravely. "Dr. Briggs has recently become a suspect in another case. We've been looking for him since yesterday." "Do you have evidence of the falsified tests?" Elena gestures toward Marcus. He followed her from the lab carrying both sets of results. "Here. The original tests were altered to hide sedatives in the children's blood. As officers examine evidence, other personnel attend to the 5 girls, huddled together, looking confused and frightened. Lucia, the youngest, seems most alert, though she too is beginning to show signs of sleepiness. "They'll need medical attention," Elena explains to a female officer. "They've been drugged regularly, according to what the youngest told me." Mateo, now in handcuffs, is being led toward the door. As he passes Elena, he begins pleading desperately. "Listen to me. I'm not operating alone. I can give you information, names, locations, everything, in exchange for leniency." An officer tries to quiet him, but Mateo continues, voice rising with panic. "Please, I owe some men a lot of money. I was forced to do this. My own family is in danger." "Save it for the station. The truth doesn't set you free. It just gives you something new to carry." As Elena watches Mateo being placed in a police car, she remembers the phone conversation, his desperate promise to pay someone by tomorrow. It seems Mateo himself was caught in a web of debt, though that doesn't excuse his actions. A Child Protective Services worker arrives shortly after. "These girls are Mexican nationals," the CPS worker explains. "We'll work with Mexican authorities to find them a safe place. Based on their condition, it seems they were being trafficked for a prostitution ring. But we still need to confirm." Elena feels her heart break, thinking of what might have awaited these children. They deserve so much better than this. The CPS worker nods. "Unfortunately, we see cases like this more often than you'd think. But thanks to your intervention, these girls have a chance at a normal life now." As the investigation continues, Elena approaches the girls. Lucia looks up as Elena kneels beside her. "Are you a dancer too?" the little girl asks, earlier energy now dimmed by fatigue. Elena smiles gently. "No, sweetheart. I'm a nurse. I help people get better when they're sick." "Am I really sick? Dad always said I was sick." "No," Elena assures her, fighting back tears. "You're not sick. You're a beautiful, healthy little girl, and you're going to be okay." As the girls are prepared for transport, Elena promises herself she'll follow up on their case, make sure they find a safe home, where they could be children again, where they could dance if they wanted to, play, learn, grow without fear. The events of the evening had shaken her faith in people, but also shown her the importance of trusting her instincts. In this small border town, where desperation and opportunity created dangerous combinations, vigilance could mean the difference between life and a fate worse than death. As she watches the girls being gently led outside, Elena thinks about countless others caught in similar situations, children who needed someone to notice, to question, to act. Today she had been that someone for 5 young girls. Tomorrow perhaps she would be that someone for others in need. In the end, that was why she became a nurse, not just to treat illnesses but to heal lives. Tonight, despite danger and fear, she had done exactly that. And no amount of money could ever replace the feeling of knowing she made the right choice when it mattered most. Thanks for watching. If you felt this story, like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories every week. Tell us where you're watching from. Your city might get a shout out next time. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.